Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. How you doing, gang? Any holiday stories to share with me? Any tech trends or anything caught your attention that you'd just like to send over? Remember, you can always email me at techblogwriter@outlook.com. And if you're a business leader and you'd like to sponsor an episode or even come and join me on here on the Daily Tech Podcast, remember, send me an email. But what have I learned today? Well, I learned a long time ago that I cannot listen to music while I work because I end up singing from the top of my lungs and often get distracted by the song lyrics. So very often I work with a video game soundtrack such as Skyrim in the background because video game music is designed to be in the background to keep you playing. So my theory is that maybe it'll keep me working. But I recently discovered Weightless by Marconi Union. Have any of you heard of this? It is a few years old. Because they worked with the actual sound therapist to create the world's most relaxing song. And according to Actual Science, I think it was reported in Forbes, they actually succeeded because when they tested and compared against other songs meant for relaxation, Weightless caused 65% reduction in anxiety and a 35% decrease in usual physiological resting rates. And I think the reason by that, they used technology to create this song and even ensure that the beat is the same as your resting heart rate, which should be about 60 beats per minute, I think. And there's even a 10-hour version of the song, which could either be a soundtrack to a good night's sleep or keep you working. I'm not sure which. But enough of my ramblings and life hacks, because today's guest, I'm going off at a tangent here, is Brian Bertacini. And he's the founder of AppSec Consulting, which is a cybersecurity firm based in San Jose, California. Now, since 2005, Brian has built and grown his company around a remote work model that actually gives his employees work-life balance and the ability to work from anywhere. But he was doing this before it was even a thing. And AppSec specialises in security testing, strategic consulting, and helping their clients build the right cybersecurity model to fulfil the needs of their business. But I've said enough already. It's time to get Brian on. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to California so we can speak with Brian Bertacini from AppSec Consulting. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Neil. So my name is Brian Bertacini. I'm the president and founder of AppSec Consulting. We're a BSI professional services company. What our firm does is provide the marketplace with cybersecurity and information governance solutions. We do that by providing security testing services that our clients can use to identify system weaknesses and vulnerabilities in their networks and applications. In addition to that, we also help clients validate compliance with a variety of industry and regulatory requirements. This includes things like banking, electronic payments, healthcare, e-commerce, and other critical infrastructure.
Now, I believe you guys were established 14 years ago, and AppSec Consulting focuses on the US cybersecurity sector and ultimately services a wide range of clients right across the country. But can you tell me a little bit more about your journey and the kind of problems that you originally set out to solve?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the company was established in 2005, and we initially were focused on training web developers on writing secure applications. Prior to founding AppSec, I'd worked for the first pure play web application security company established here in Silicon Valley. And in my role there, I saw that a number of organizations were struggling to develop secure websites and secure applications. And at the time, we were just seeing an increase in the number of websites that provided functionality where they were transmitting very sensitive data. So saw an opportunity to help raise the level of awareness within the developer community. And that was the initial focus. But over time, the company had seen additional opportunities, and we continued to expand our service offering to all of the solutions that we provide today. And I'm sure we'll get a little bit more into that as the conversation continues.
And what really stands out for me is you built the company around a remote work model that gives your employees work-life balance and the ability to work from anywhere, which seems incredibly forward-thinking, almost before that was a thing. So can you tell me more about the inspiration behind the company and that mission that you created?
That's an excellent question, Neil. So, some of this is history, and I'm kind of the dinosaur here at AppSec Consulting. I've been around the IT industry for a long time, but having lived my entire adult life here in the San Francisco Bay Area, before we had the internet and remote access solutions that we have today, many of us would spend, hours at a day commuting to our jobs, and you start to add that up over time, and it's a huge toll on the worker and the worker's family and the loved ones and that type of stuff. So with the work we do, it's something that can actually absolutely be performed remotely, and we saw an opportunity there, and it also allowed us to acquire talent that we might not find otherwise.
So I've got to ask, I'm kind of curious here, what's the secret, or what did you find was the secret to successfully implementing that remote work culture? I mean, was there any challenges that you had to overcome, or did it all just kind of fit in a place?
Oh, absolutely. There was a lot of challenges involved there, but I think the most critical component there is communication, right? So it's being able to mimic all the things we do in the physical workplace, but do that in a remote environment. So, for example, with the folks that work on our team, first and foremost, it's setting out and having very well-defined expectations and assigning work on a regular basis to these folks. So, for example, every Friday, each employee will receive their work assignments for the following week. That work that they perform is typically short-term in nature, so they have interactions with the project managers and their managers on a regular basis. The work they do is subject to peer review, so there's a fair amount of communication that goes on with the staff very regularly. In addition to that, we have a collaborative environment, so we're using tools like Slack and other collaboration tools that allow the team to communicate. So even though we're separated geographically, in spirit, we're all together in the same place.
And thinking about cybersecurity, which is an incredibly hot topic at the moment, how do you see the state of security consulting at the moment, right across that new digital landscape that we're all in?
Oh boy, another good question. The state of security consulting, I think we're in a good spot. The challenge is that the problem itself seems to be getting worse as organizations try to figure out how to secure their environments, the data in their environments, and protect themselves against some of the modern day attacks and whatnot. But from the consulting perspective, I think there's a number of very good service providers that are out there that have folks that are very specialized in certain areas and those that are generalist. At the same time, I think the consulting firms that are out there are competing for a limited resource pool. But I think as far as the services that we deliver to the marketplace and the services that our competitors deliver to the marketplace, I think we do a pretty fair job in general. I think there's some other things that are going on in the background that are very helpful as well, especially here in the States, where it seems like a lot of the security has been driven by industry. For example, in the payment card space, it was a consortium of the card brands, the Payment Card Industry Security Standards Council, that had established version 1 of the PCI Data Security Standard back in 2006, and they've continued to update that. But having industry requirements like that are placed on service providers and merchants to ensure security of the payment system is one example. And there has been a number of high-profile breaches that we've seen, so it's not perfect. But what we're seeing is that a number of state legislatures and even at the federal level, we're starting to see more and more regulation, which is helping. I think part of the frustration that you might see on the business side is that there's been a lack of direction there's been a number of competing standards or requirements and whatnot. And a lot of organizations are looking to do the right thing. And I think by having a clearer view of what the standards and requirements are, that's helping. And that's where the consultants can come in and leverage their experience, their know-how, what they're seeing in other organizations, and help companies that want to do the right thing get to where they want to be.
Now, when I was researching you guys before you came on the show today, I recently read that BSI, a business improvement company, announced the acquisition of AppSec Consulting. So I've got to ask, can you expand on that acquisition, what it means for you, your customers, and ultimately the future of AppSec Consulting too?
Yeah. So on April 1st, 2019, AppSec Consulting was acquired by BSI. There were several reasons that myself and my business partner decided to move in that direction. I think first and foremost is that, we had a thriving business. We had grown to about 30 employees, and the company we established was completely bootstrapped. So we had limited resources available to us. And, it's one thing to manage an organization of 5 to 10 people, much easier than managing an organization with up to 30 employees plus. And so some of the challenges we had were, not necessarily having the resources to continue to grow the business. And what I mean by that, limited resources when it comes to HR functions, finance and accounting, marketing, research development. So these were, some of the resources that BSI was able to bring to the table. But in addition to that, BSI has an established cybersecurity and information resilience practice in Europe and the UK. And so going from a 30-person organization to about 150 total, as far as you're looking at the BSI cybersecurity and information resilience practice. So, this gives us an opportunity to grow what we have, to collaborate with our friends across the pond in Europe and the UK and learn more from them and them learn from us. And we've agreed to move forward in an approach called the best of both. So we're going to look at the way we go to business, and when there are differences, we can evaluate those and come up with the best solutions that we can provide internally and externally.
It certainly feels like a huge step forward for the company. So am I right in assuming that AppSec would benefit from BSI's global reach too? And also maybe ask, what also excites you about this partnership?
Oh, there's a number of things that excite me about it. So, the first part of your question was the global reach. And I think that certainly helps. As we've grown our organization, we have a number of clients that have an international presence. And, us being based here in the U.S., sometimes we don't have the exposure to things that are going on in other parts of the world. For example, last year, the EU had introduced the GDPR, which is more of a data privacy requirement for organizations that do business with people that live in the EU. There's a lot of expertise that BSI brought to the table there. We have some internally, but that helps our clients. In addition to that, there's times where we need to do assessment work in other parts of the world. And that would mean that we would need to travel people to other locations, and having that global reach that will minimize the constraints on our resources.
So for other startup founders listening, could you maybe share how you've grown your business leading up to this acquisition, and also any lessons you might have learned along the way that you think would be valuable to pass down?
Another good question, Neil. So I would say the biggest learning lesson that I had in creating AppSec is that, too often I think organizations put the primary focus on their customers, which that's a great thing to do. But I believe that it starts with the people within the organization. If you have the best employees and you find ways to keep them happy, keep them motivated, happy employees are going to deliver happy customers to the organization. And that's something where we've always put the primary focus is on the people within the organization. And we do things to treat our employees like family as best we can. So For example, some of the things that we do here at AppSec Consulting is that we invest in our employees. And what I mean by that is that we look at their professional development and training and other things that they would like to do. And we make a training budget available to each employee where they can work with their manager at the beginning of the year. And let's say, for example, if they want to go to a SANS academy to improve their technical skills, that's something that would be available to them. Or if it's leadership academies or attending conferences where they're learning more about cutting edge technologies or certain business problems out there, we make those investments, and we feel that that's a dividend to the business and a dividend to our employees and our customers as well. So I would say first and foremost, organization starts with people. If you hire the best people and you invest in those people, that's a great way to build an organization. I would say the other thing is that in dealing with our customers, we try to do a very, very good job of listening to what their problems are and determining how we can best solve those problems. I think sometimes as salespeople, we may be too quick to just kind of show up and present what it is that we can do for them and not really listen to what are their problems and how do we solve those problems. So that's something that's very helpful as well.
And looking to the future, is there anything else that you can share with everyone listening with me today about the future of AppSec and anything else you've got in store? I appreciate you probably can't share too much, but are there any teasers you could leave us with?
Yeah, well, I have always believed that our best days are ahead of us, and I continue to believe that. So, we're barely 3 months into the merger with BSI, but so far it's been a great experience. There's a lot of planning that went into this to make sure that we get it right. So we've got a fair amount of integration that we need to do going forward, and that's migrating to, from legacy business systems that you would use for 15, 25 person shop to, an enterprise. So those are some of the things that we're going to work on going forward. But as I'd mentioned earlier about investing in the organization and our people, part of that's listening to our staff and where they want to see the company go as well. So, some of the things that we've socialized with the BSI management team is our ability to move into new areas of business, to be able to invest in research and development at a level greater than what we have done historically. So, it looks like those are opportunities that are in front of us. And I think that being able to do those types of things are going to help us draw some of the expert talent that we're going to need going forward. But, cybersecurity is a big problem for a number of organizations. We want to help those companies that want to do the right thing, and we're going to hire the best talent, and we're going to have a great offering, a great story to tell to potential employees and to prospective clients going forward.
And for anyone listening that's inspired by your story or just want to find out a little bit more information about the kind of work that you're doing and the kind of problems that you're solving for your clients, can you just point them in the direction of how to find you online and also contact a member of your team if they are left with any additional questions?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach us at www.appsecconsulting.com, and that's APPSEC consulting.com. There's also a Contact Me Now feature on our website. So if you have any specific questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll respond as quick as we can and see how we can best assist you.
Excellent. Well, I'll add those links to the blog post that will accompany this podcast. Thank you so much for coming on today. I love how what you did there with communication and mimicking everything in the physical workplace and making that work remotely. And also how you've attracted staff, better staff as a result of that, or more qualified staff and talented people, and then leading to the acquisition and expanding your global reach. It's a fantastic story, everything that you've done there. But more than anything, just a big thank you for taking the time to come on here and share that story with me today. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Neil. I appreciate you having me.
A big thank you to Brian for coming on the show today and talking about the state of security consulting and how he's grown his business leading up to this acquisition. He really has been on an incredible journey, hasn't he? But I'm curious, does your business have a remote work culture? Or are they still stuck in the rigid commute and daily grind, sat at the same desk every day? As always, you can share your thoughts about today's conversation. Music that helps you work better, go to sleep to, or even just say hello by simply emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. Remember, I'm also on Twitter @NeilCHughes, and my website is techblogwriter.co.uk if you want to work with me. But it does seem I've hyped myself up a little and got a little bit carried away. So Doctor's Orders is another dose of Weightless by Marconi Union. But not the 8-hour version. So a big thank you for listening as always. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.